Hey everyone, I'm the Chosen One Legend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Vascarine.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where we talk different bits of gaming news from the past month. And of course, it's Direct season once again. We have stuff to talk about. It's nice.
Yeah, the Direct was decent, I think, this time. No one's really been complaining much about it from what I've seen. Plenty of good releases, reveals, info, all of that, so not too much to complain about, really.
Yeah, I think all in all it's like nothing too mind-blowing, but there's a lot of consistently interesting stuff. And it's not just Nintendo either. There's been other companies keeping us updated on different stuff. So we'll definitely be diving into that. And of course, if you want to check out the different sections of the podcast, as always, there will be timestamps in the description below. But let's get started with our first segment of the podcast. Can't have a podcast without news, baby. I can't believe we're still using those titles after all these years. But I'm literally made them up in 5 seconds. But in this segment, we talk about the news of the past month. And starting things off, this is technically the previous month, but we recorded our last month's podcast just before it dropped, so I'm going to mention it now. Because on the 31st of August, they did a Mario Wonder Direct, where we got a bit of a deep dive on that game, which is of course coming up later in whatever month we're in currently. October, where we're about to be. No, September. Time's weird. It comes out in October, that's right. And some of the things they announced for it are like, we sort of got more of the characters, like Yoshi, we saw how he plays. Nabbit is in it, for some reason.
Yeah.
We got like all the characters have all the power-ups. There's a lot in there, and I think one of the first things I want to dive deep into, or a bit further into, is online multiplayer. Because we all wanted it, we were waiting for it, and they have it. But it's like that meme where it's like, hey, why Nintendo? Why can't your online be normal? And Nintendo screams. It's just they have to do some weird twist to it, don't they?
Yeah, it's like we just wanted regular online multiplayer because that's so fun whenever any game has that. And they were like, ooh, well, we have the capacity to, very clearly, based on what we've shown. But we're just not going to include it. We're going to do everything except let you just play with your friends.
Yeah.
And that's very frustrating because you can see right in front of you that they could have just done it if they wanted.
Yeah, it's such a disappointment. Like, it's neat that there's something there, and I think the whole idea where you can always be online and like other people in the background, it's interesting. I don't hate that idea, even if I'm not sure I'll use it myself. And at the very least, you can create lobbies with that, so you can be playing the same level at the same time, but then you're not affecting each other. And that's sort of the whole fun of multiplayer playthroughs. Like, because we were thinking if we did it, we might do it for like the podcast or maybe on your streams or something. But it almost, and still we might do, but taking away the chaos of being able to like pick each other up and bump into each other and get into the bubbles, that's all the humour comes from that. I mean, if you look back at like classic Let's Plays, like the Runaway guys, and their favourite like funny moments when they're doing the new Super Mario Bros. Games, it's always just them messing with each other, but you lose that ability, so it's a shame.
Yeah, I just don't get why they've done it.
No.
Like, there is no technical reason to. It was clearly a choice made by them, I just don't understand it. And it sucks because the game looks really good. Everything outside of that is really interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I've pre-ordered it and I'm looking forward to playing it. And like, again, not to be too down on it, because ultimately online is a smaller facet in it being a fantastic game. The whole like open world map thing with different sections to it looks fun. It looks like really creative different level designs that don't look too generic. Having Daisy's playable for the first time in a proper 2D platformer. It's so much of this game looks fantastic. Shame we can't do it properly online, because like you said, they definitely can, but it's better than nothing, and I'm still looking forward to this coming out. Like, it looks fantastic overall.
Yeah.
The only slight complaint otherwise I have is the fact that Yoshi is sort of baby mode, because he looks like he'd be fun to play as, but I kind of don't want to do Weenie Hut Junior mode, but nah.
Yeah. I mean, I do like, for the record, that they have the characters designed to be easier. I mean, obviously that's not a new thing. Nabbit was already in the games and whatever, but it's nice that there is more of that for newer players. For example, I mentioned it to my family and some of them were like, well, we don't want to play that because we'll just die and you'll laugh at us, you'll make fun of us, which I will.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh no, there's characters though that specifically cannot take damage. So
Yeah.
it's like it's easier for you. And they were like, oh, okay, like that was a genuine appeal to them. So when you're looking at sort of the scope of non-gamers and making it a family game, which obviously it's a regular Mario game, of course it's going to be a family game, they are making it more accessible, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that on top of the whole badge thing they have going on to give you even more upgrades,
Yes.
seems really good. Just do some online, please.
Yeah, it looks so creative, and there's so much compared to the new Super Mario Bros. Games. There's so much personality in like the animations and everything. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And hey, you never know. We've realised that we are in some sort of range of each other. So maybe we could do a local multiplayer one day. You never know. But
It's possible.
but that's about it for the Mario one, because we've got plenty more coming up. And on the 6th of September, okay, I've got my dates right. September. It was sort of announced, this is an interesting one, they announced that Tears of the Kingdom is not getting DLC, which you kind of could have guessed at this point, because with Breath of the Wild they announced it like straight away, before the game came out even. But I know you haven't finished it yet, but what do you think about this, Kai, the fact that there won't be? Do you think that's disappointment, or are you cool with it?
I mean, tough to say, obviously, because I haven't finished the game yet. I'm maybe through, like, I want to say a bit over halfway of the story content.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to really put my finger on how detrimental this is. I would like to think in an ideal world that it's the kind of game where it sort of resolves itself so nicely and has enough story involved that it doesn't warrant a DLC.
Yeah.
However, I, sort of doubt that's the case. I feel like with how big and open Tears of the Kingdom is, there's always the capacity for DLC content. So, I am sort of thinking, it's a shame because we're missing out on stuff, but until I've beaten the game, I can't really say that that's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm cool with it, to be honest. Like, I would happily play more, and I think it's like Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is its own complete game. Like, it is not incomplete without DLC. There's still way too much to do, and Tears of the Kingdom adds even more. So, on that level, it doesn't need DLC. I think there's some places they could have added it. We could have another Sword Trials, or there could be, like, how Breath of the Wild added a whole nother dungeon. Like, there's plenty of room you could have added another island in the sky or something, So,
Yeah.
there's stuff they could have done, but I don't think it needed it. Like, even with Breath of the Wild, I think it really benefited from giving the champions a bit more depth. I don't think Tears of the Kingdom has an equivalent that could benefit as much from that. So, it is what it is, but they said they done everything they wanted to do in this world, and dear God, there is so much in this game, as you well know, so it doesn't need more. That's fine by me.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Like, they do already do enough, like you say, so not a huge deal. It's always like, more doesn't hurt, but at the same time, if it doesn't feel like it needs DLC, then that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. I still haven't done all the side quests and that in the game, I'm not even close to getting all the Korok seeds, so Tears of the Kingdom don't need more content.
True.
But we're getting plenty of other content, because on the 14th of September, they announced, they had a new Nintendo Direct, our regular expected September Direct, and there's a lot in there. So we sort of gave our general thoughts, and we did do a direct reaction. So if you want to see our live reactions to the different game announcements, that's up on the channel already. But to go in a bit more detail, the first thing I want to mention is Princess Peach Showtime, which we finally got a bit more of a look at. We know that is coming out next year in, I think they said like March or something, earlier than I thought it would be. And it looks ridiculously charming, right?
Yeah, I'm not even sure how to sum it up, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you sort of get these different costumes, and there's like a Detective Peach, there's a Chef Peach, or Baker Peach, there's like a Sword Fighter Peach, and we don't really see much of what the gameplay is. Like, the trailer, looking back at it, it's hard to tell what this game is going to be, and that's going to be the main potential deal breaker, I think, is it could be very basic. It almost looks like it might be. So whilst it looks like it's full of charm and personality, and given all these cool different outfits for Peach, putting her up front, that's all great. But ultimately, if the game plays like crap, it plays like crap. So we have to see more. But I like what they've shown so far, at least.
Yeah, I think what they've shown off so far looks very like interesting. It feels like it can be quite exciting. Presentation's great, animation's good. I really like the concept of it being like a theatre show of different costumes. And I need to stop comparing it to things because I keep doing that. But it does sort of give me Kirby vibes in a sense of how it's meant to be like fun and fantastical almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you say, it really will come down to the gameplay though, because we've seen so little of that. So who can say at this point? I think we just need to give it more time and see what it ends up looking like later down the line.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's promising, but I think the reason why you keep comparing it to stuff is because we don't know what it is. So it makes sense that we're trying to puzzle it together and figure out what exactly is this game. So it'll be one to keep an eye on, that's for sure. Like I said, coming out quicker than I expected. But I like the fact that, again, Peach is getting her own game, and especially coming off the Mario movie, that's going to sell like crazy. I mean, there was a lot of Mario in this Direct. To a fault, some people would argue. So you can definitely tell they're capitalizing on that Mario movie new fan base that's been brought in there.
To be honest, it's surprising me that they took so long to do that. Like, the Mario movie's been out for quite some time now. I would have thought, they, go and do Mario Odyssey 2, which I'm honestly surprised hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a little late after that, but hey, I mean, if it works, it works.
Yes, and continuing down the Mario trend, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is finally getting a remake after all these years, and it's about time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't had a remake before. It's basically kind of been stuck on the GameCube for a while. I don't know if was it on like the Virtual Console? I don't even know.
No, GameCube games have never been on the Virtual Console, so it's stuck to the GameCube at the moment, yeah. Well, until next year, so...
Yeah, and I mean, people always praise it as being, one of the best, well, Mario games full stop, but particularly being the pinnacle of good Mario RPGs. Just with everything it is, and I've watched about I haven't played it, so I'm I'm not going to go full Persona here, but I have watched a lot of playthroughs of the game. So from the look of it, you can tell everything about it does scream this is a really good traditional RPG. So I'm glad it's getting this remake. It's almost it has got its own style. This new one, it's got more of I don't even know how you describe it, like cardboard almost vibes.
Yeah. Which,
for once, is a good thing.
Yeah, it feels like they're getting a nice middle ground between Thousand Year Door's original look and the modern Paper Mario, but still giving it its own thing. And I mean, Mario RPGs have been on and off for years, and the fact we're getting this and what's it called? Mario RPG. It's literally called that. Dear God, Matthew.
Yes.
But the fact that we're getting both of these, it's nice that they're coming back. And whilst I haven't played Thousand Year Door, I played Paper Mario last year. I mean, I talked about it on the podcast. And that was great, and I believe this is more of the same, but often considered better. So I fail to see how they can go wrong with a remaster. Especially if this means that maybe the next Paper Mario game will be more what people are wanting. Then, if this does well, this might, tell Nintendo, maybe you should make more like this.
Yeah, exactly, I agree. There's just so much going on with it. It's so well praised, there's a market for it, so I'm hoping this sells really well, and then they go, hey, let's just make a Paper Mario game with a normal combat system.
Okay, but Kai, what if stickers, though? Huh?
But it just sucks, because even Origami King, for example, people say that there's parts of that are actually quite good.
Yeah.
But the gameplay just sucks still. The whole puzzle thing doesn't really work. The same thing is obviously said about Sticker Star, and Color Splash wasn't all that either.
Yeah.
It's even Super Paper Mario, I mean, there's mixed reviews on that where the story is good and people have different opinions about the gameplay. But it's just give us that traditional RPG vibe, please.
Yeah. Well, they're doing it, and hopefully it does well. I mean, I'm probably going to be. As always, it depends what's happening. This is coming some vague time, 2024. So who knows what else will be coming out? I mean, it could be a Switch 2 launch title at this point. Who knows? But
Honestly.
But either way, I'm definitely one that I'm keeping an eye on. I'll probably get it, and I'm just so glad that it's happening for the fans, and for people who aren't fans to get into this series, because the other games haven't been doing it clearly. So it's nice to see. Also returning franchise, I'll quickly mention Mario vs. Donkey Kong getting a remake.
Yeah.
Why not? I don't have much to say about this one, but what do you think, Kai?
Yeah, I mean, I played one of them.
Yep, same.
So yeah, I played the one on the DS, and yeah, it's fun. It's a good kind of game. The rebranding, or sorry, not rebranding, restyling of it looks good.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, it's a very similar thing to Thousand Year Door of like, yeah, I like it. It's a good remake. It's been a while. Sure, bring it on over. Looks good. So
Yeah.
really, just a lot of stuff where it's like, there's none of it is groundbreaking, but it's just a lot of things that feel good. They feel like good choices. Maybe safe, but safe isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, especially because it's given us a variety of different kinds of games. They're all Mario, but a 2D platformer, a more sort of puzzle platformer. We've got two RPGs, but they're very different style ones coming out. Whatever the heck Peach's Showtime is, So, variety is key here. And also, on adding one final Mario thing for this Direct, we got our Mario Kart 8 Wave 6 trailer for the Booster Pass course. We only saw one track, Daisy something. God, what is it? Daisy Square? Daisy Town?
Something.
It's a Daisy course. But the big
Daisy
thing...
Circuit.
Thank you, Kai, my hero. But I think the main thing we're all paying attention to here was 4 new characters. The much-wanted Diddy Kong, Funky Kong, and Pauline. And Peachette, for some reason.
Because they were doing so well.
They couldn't help themselves, and I can't complain, because I thought we were getting 2 characters, Double is way more than I expected, so it's not like it's wasting a slot or anything, but why?
I thought they learned. I really thought they learned by this point, but clearly not.
They're going to add pink gold Peachette now, you know it, Kai.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, one of my predictions from the shorts was right.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Pauline and Diddy Kong were obvious favourites that I think everyone was saying were going to show up. We just didn't choose them for the shorts because they felt a little too obvious, I think.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there's just... Why did they choose that 4th one? Like, there were so many other characters. Annoying.
Nintendo, get a Nintendo. But it looks fun, at least, and I'm sure we'll get some Twitter announcement over the next month. All we know is it's releasing winter, but I'd imagine probably October, November time we'll be getting those and playing those. Maybe we'll do a video on it even, because it's fun to do with, like, the custom items now, so definitely looking forward to see what other tracks we get.
Yeah, please give us some good DS tracks, because there's so many good ones that haven't been done yet, please.
Yes. Airship Fortress, it might happen, it might do. But I guess the next thing I want to mention is Splatoon 3 Side Order DLC. We got our first proper look at that, and I know you're more on the Splatoon focus than me, so what did you think of what we saw?
Well, it's funny, I guess, as an update to me playing the game in general. I don't.
Yeah.
Since the last one of these we did, pretty much, I've just stopped playing the game because there hasn't been enough new stuff going on. But this DLC looks like one to watch and definitely pick up.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting vibe. Like we've said before, it's based on if Order won the final Splatfest of Splatoon 2, whereas Chaos did win, and that became the theme of the 3rd game. Cool concept. In this trailer, we saw what I think is a very different vibe to what people expected in terms of the gameplay. Where people expected basically more of Octoling expansion, where it's more of these little stages, and you go through them, it's all really vibey, because Octo expansion, so vibey. God, it's so good. But yeah, people I think expected basically more of that, but in a more like, I don't know how you would describe it, just that gif of Squidward on the floor screaming future.
Future!
Yeah, that one. I think more of that, but still vibey. And instead we got something very different. We have a little Pearl robot which follows you around, and a character who I believe they called, I think it's pronounced 8. It's just another play on words. You know, you play as Agent 8, but then there's another character called 8, A-C-H-T.
Well, Acht is German for 8, so maybe...
or just that, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just going to call them 8 as well, just to make it extra confusing for everyone.
Yep.
So there's like all these characters, and I believe that character is called also like Deadfish or something, based on Deadmau5 from the previous games as an artist, which is cool. You know, to see them get in the spotlight. So that's the story side of things. That's basically all we have so far. Marina is nowhere to be found, so who knows where she plays into it. You know, she could be the antagonist for all we know.
That would be interesting, yeah.
Well, she was on Team Order for the Splatfest. That was her side.
Of course, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. But the main thing that intrigued people, I think, is the gameplay, where it doesn't seem to be just like a bunch of stages like Octo Expansion, because that's what Splatoon 3's main story is. They just did it there, which is actually really, really fun. The campaign is amazing.
Yeah.
What they seem to have here is a bunch of different stages in what looks to be yet another roguelike. It seems to be built so that you can keep going back and playing over and over again. I believe that's what one of the devs said in an interview, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got more of that, where you basically go through the stages. Yeah, you've got these like new bonefish enemy things that you beat. I don't even know how you describe them. And you know, they even show the damage numbers, because again, normally it's weird, but here it makes more sense if it's a roguelike where you want to see those numbers. It seems like you get upgrades in the middle of stages. It seems to be the pinnacle of a roguelike, which they just, you know, I am always in favour of, because it's always fun. Yeah, I'm just curious how much story there's going to be within it, because roguelikes aren't known for their story. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's more to it. I mean, it's fascinating that they're going this completely different direction, and I like it, because that's kind of what made Octo Expansion great, was it was a different direction from the main game, so it's cool kind of that they're not just repeating that. I think the biggest thing I found interesting was it's not coming out till next year. I can't remember if they gave us a date, maybe it was like spring or something, but everyone thought like this was a lock for the end of this year, you know. I mean, the first wave came out several months ago at this point. But yeah, the fact it's this further off, I mean, maybe that means there's a lot to it. I mean, I guess we'll find out. We'll probably see another few trailers at this point over time. Maybe, I mean, January Direct will probably get one. So definitely interested to see how this shapes out.
Yeah, I think they basically delayed it. I just think they couldn't have got it all done in time, which is why... and you might be thinking, why are they taking so long? Because they've not been updating the game that much. Yeah. But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I still trust it'll be good. But yeah, we'll have to see more on it, and then I probably will pick it up. So I guess I'll review it when that happens.
Or we wait till 5 years when they add it to NSO, you know? Like fingers crossed. But,
yeah.
The only other real thing I want to mention, we've got, F099 we're going to talk a bit about later on. But I do want to mention Amiibo. We got the Sora Amiibo finally, which is good to see. And also we got Noah and Mio Amiibo, which are coming out early next year. I pre-ordered them, because I'm a sucker for any Xenoblade merchandise I can get my hands on. And we found out what they add to the game, so I guess mild out of context Xenoblade 3 spoilers here, but they're like alternate costumes for N and M for Noah and Mio, which it's kind of what we expected, but it's the good thing, you know. It's what fans wanted, really. So
yeah, I mean, it's cool that they are there. You know, we have the Shulk Amiibo, we have the Pyramithra ones, so
yeah,
very cool that they exist, and that they do something. Yeah, I haven't got a chance to order them, but I might need to get around to that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's ultimately you can get the... I don't know if they've confirmed it, but I'm assuming it's like the Xenoblade 2 stuff, where you can get the swords in-game. They're hard to get, but given the fact we've both 100% completed it, we'll probably basically have them automatically anyway. So, you don't need the Amiibo, likely, but they look good on the shelf altogether. that's really what Amiibo are for at this point. They stopped being important to the game years ago, so it's just nice to see that they're coming out. And that Sora got his, and that means there's a complete Smash set, so that's good to see. But that is it.
So that's all very good.
Yeah, and that's it for the Nintendo Direct. But I do want to mention quickly that on the same day, there was a PlayStation showcase, and most of it we're going to gloss over. But the one thing I want to... you know what to expect at this point. But the one thing I do want to mention is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth got another trailer. Still looking batshit insane. And we see things like more of the open world. The Golden Saucer, which is a big mini-game hub, is returning, and it looks ridiculous. We get to see more of the characters in action, like the character... I never know how to pronounce his name. It's spelled Kate Sith, but I might be pronounced like Kate She or something, I've heard. Either way, it's a ridiculous character who's basically a cat, and it looks... The way that all these characters play together is going to be ridiculous. It's... God, I need to replay the first game before this comes out, but it's coming out in February 29th. That's not too long away in the grand scheme of things. Help me, Kai.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I still haven't played part 1, and I haven't watched that trailer because I don't want to get too invested in it until I know what's happening. But I did see a little bit of gameplay of just the overworld being explored, and I mean, yeah, it just looks really good. Like, this is the direction that the series is heading in for this remake, and yeah, I mean, no complaints. I think it's a really cool design for the series, you know, being an RPG but having this whole AAA kind of vibe. I'm here for it. It's something like, how do I put it? It's something very clearly that Nintendo just would not be able to do, because although Nintendo does a lot of things well, they do have hardware, issues, setbacks that they can't overcome on the Switch. So I'm glad that another big group is sort of doing what Nintendo can't in terms of making big RPGs that look really cool.
Yeah, and I should quickly mention now that you say that, actually, I have heard rumours that Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be on the next Switch console, and that's getting a heavy one right now, so you never know.
Oh, God.
But
I mean,
let's
it's
not
going to
go down
run
rumour
horribly.
Time will tell, that's for sure. I mean, we saw what happened with the Mortal Kombat remake. I don't know if you've seen that one, but the Switch port of that
I have. Yeah.
It's nightmare fuel, which fits Mortal Kombat in a way. But yeah. But this game, it's just also it's the kind of thing Nintendo wouldn't do. People would love a big Ocarina of Time remake that goes batshit insane, but they're not going to do that. Final Fantasy are sure, let's go with it. I mean, it's got the, I believe, director of Kingdom Hearts on it, which I think says enough. So it's going to be fun, it's going to be wild. They've confirmed that it ends at a certain location, which has one of the biggest scenes of Final Fantasy VII. So who knows how that's going to play out in this game. I won't say anything specific, of course, in case.
Okay.
But basically, it's the implication of they're going to tease us no matter what's happening. They are going to end on some way that's just going to f with us all. I'm going to have to censor that, but it was the right word to use. It's it's going to be
I can't wait.
A wild ride. And things they've also confirmed we're getting a bit where you play as Zack as well, which is going to be fun. We see flashbacks to Cloud and Sephiroth, all sorts of things we saw in the main game, but getting to see those playing out, doing combo attacks together, it's just insane. The music's going to be great, and I'm going to have to drop everything else to play this one. This is a day one game for me, so I'm very hyped. But enough gushing for now. The one more thing I want to mention, separate to all of this, there were a few other showcases. There was a Microsoft one, which was garbage. There was a Capcom one, which was mostly garbage. But we got a little bit more on the Apollo Justice trilogy, which of course, we're Ace Attorney fans here. And it's coming out January 25th. And we saw, as well as just being decent looking ports of the games, there's also things there's a music player, there's an art book thing where you can look through concept art and stuff, similar to what Great Ace Attorney had. There's a whole green screen thing where you can put characters onto that and make your own stuff, which that's going to make... Yeah. That's going to make some
I'm already
cursed...
seeing the post on Twitter, reply to this with your most cursed Spirit of Justice, like shitpost or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's going to be something.
I love that they went there, but I'm not sure they knew what they were getting themselves into. But it's going to be interesting at the very least. But also,
pain.
It also includes all like the DLC cases and costumes, which I've heard are quite good. The DLC ones. So it just looks like a great package. And God, Ace Attorney's been so great so far. Leighton vs. White was awesome. Finally get to finish them for now, except the Edgeworth games. But we can't have everything yet. One day.
To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're working on next. Because after Great Ace Attorney, they've not really. I think they're quite conflicted on what to do because they don't want to make another mainline game. It probably doesn't feel right for them to do more Great Ace Attorney or Miles Edgeworth. So I think they're probably looking at the series and going, "Damn, I don't know what to do. Let's just remake everything."
Yeah, I mean. I think I said it a few months ago, but give us another Leighton versus Wright. There's more you can do there. I'll take that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely one I'm looking forward to. I mean, it's your fault, Kai. You got me down the visual novel domain. Now I literally just bought Danganronpa, so that's the whole thing.
We'll be hearing about that eventually. That'll be
eventually,
fun.
Yeah, that'll be definitely be talking about that one on the podcast. But
yeah,
the final thing here, I'm going to hand it over to you, Kai, because. There was Tokyo Game Show, which of course a lot of this presentations were building up to. And one of the things from that I know you'll have to talk about is Inazuma 11 Victory Road. So what's the main scuttlebutt about that game?
So they showed it off at the Tokyo Game Show. They had a gameplay demo that people could go and do, and some people recorded themselves playing it. So basically what's happened is Level 5 overall, for all of their games I believe, have been doing like a huge showcase over the last couple of weeks. So alongside all the other games, Inazuma 11 particularly, has just gotten like a boatload of content thrown at us. Like they've done a bunch of gameplay show off, they've done some demos for it, they've gone into detail on it. They've been telling us things about voice actors. They had Akihiro Hino come onto stage and start explaining a bunch of mechanics that were going to happen. They've done so much. And all of it seems really interesting, really good. Like, people have been giving good reviews about the game. Of course, there were concerns that the gameplay wasn't going to be up to scratch still, because it's so different to anything else. But people have been saying it's fun from the demo, so I'm very happy to hear that. I'm very pleased.
Yeah.
So everything about it, they've just been giving us so much, even to the point where I've not been able to keep track of it. So honestly, like, I can't really pin down all that much on what they've announced, just that there's a lot going on. The thing probably to note most is, well, second most, is they gave a story trailer, which had a couple of the cutscenes and that kind of thing, showed off a little bit of, how all the characters are going to talk to each other. Akihiro Hino came out and told us about, what the main character's going to be like. So it all looks really, really interesting, basically, is that there's too much to sum up here because they've given us so much. But it all looks super, super cool. And yeah, I'm really hyped for it. Everything about it seems great. And all we need now is a release date. The most important bit of info they've dropped recently is something that I'm actually going to pass back to you because I feel like this is your thing.
He's back! Dear! Yes! Oh, I
Just
totally
do pop up on him on the screen for people who watch it on YouTube.
I absolutely will. I mean, Deer, who is, in case you don't know, he's literally in Inazuma 11, 2 and 3. He's a playable character who's literally just a deer. Just a random recruitable side character, not important to the plot, but he's the only one that really matters to us. And he is back in this game as one of the many recruitable characters. And his design looks a little bit freaky, but I don't care. He's back.
Yeah, he's looking great. So, just lots of really good news. They've shown off so much. So the game, after like 6 years of delays and no info, has just been all thrown at us at once, and I couldn't be happier. It's like the series has been dead for like almost a decade at this point, so it's just very happy to see.
Yeah, I was saying to Kai just before we started that I was listening back to our old podcast, and in literally our second one, this game was brought up. So it's still, after all this time, since we started the podcast and way before that even, It's finally coming out, and at some point we're seeing stuff of it, and I'm interested. It depends when it comes out, because there's a lot, obviously, but definitely one that I do want to have a look at. And also, I mean, just to give a quick shout out, I've heard lots of good things about Decaplease as well, so level 5 doing good all around. And Leighton
they're
coming,
just thriving.
So. Yeah.
Considering, I mean, we had a talk, I don't remember how long ago it was now, but we had a full discussion on one of these episodes about how level 5 was basically struggling, that they were shutting down offices, and they clearly weren't doing too hot. You know, they turned, from like around, I want to say 2015 to 2020-ish, they basically turned the route of doing like mobile games and, you know, just a bunch of stuff that really doesn't feel good. But then they've finally just turned back to doing really fun and exciting games, and I just pray that they, you know, the profits come in for them so that they can keep doing it, because I just don't want them to turn back to the dark side of mobile games again, please.
It certainly looks promising. Like, the future's looking good for level 5, which is great to hear. Maybe we'll get another Ni no Kuni, Kai, you never know. This is the resurgence, so...
I don't even know how the new one, the blockchain game is going. I don't think I want to know.
That's a thing. Oh god, I didn't need to be reminded of that. But
genuinely, I've not heard anything about it in so long that I wouldn't even know.
There's probably a reason you haven't heard anything about it. But the future is looking better, so maybe, fingers crossed. But that is it for the news for this month. A lot of good stuff. But let's move on to our final segment of the podcast, Games Time, baby, where we talk about the games that we've been playing over the past month. And I'm going to start this off because I actually have two to talk about. And Kai, it is once again that very special time of the podcast when I talk about Kingdom Hearts, because it's back again. I'm making my way through it, I'm nearly at the end, and I played Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, the HD version of the 3DS game, which, technically speaking, was my first Kingdom Hearts game because I played the demo back on 3DS in like 2012. I don't think I even finished the demo, which maybe that says enough about my Kingdom Hearts experience. But I did this time. I played it to completion, and it's alright. It's like a decent, I'd say it's like middle of the road for the series, kind of. Doesn't like hit the heights of 2 or anything, but it's also didn't cause me physical pain like 1 did at times. So middle ground. I think in terms of gameplay, it's very sort of similar to your typical Kingdom Hearts affair. You know, your standard attacks and your magic attacks. I do find it disappointing that for some reason we still like don't use what do you call it? It doesn't use the same mechanics that Kingdom Hearts 2 did, and it doesn't feel as good as that game did. And it's hard to say why, because it's like that was a game that came out 10 years before it or whatever. So I don't know I can't even quantify what it's missing. But it just doesn't flow in the same way Kingdom Hearts 2's combat did. It's fine. It's just a shame that they can't maintain that peak, and it makes me wonder what Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be like, if maybe that'll be a resurgence back to it or not. But it did have some interesting ideas. It had the flow system where you can sort of parkour across the level and combo that into attacks, which was neat. You have little like animal companions you can fight alongside, which there's a whole sort of Tamagotchi thing where you can feed them. I didn't do, but it's there if you want it. So not quite as bizarre as the Monopoly game that the last one had. So it's fine. It's like decent enough gameplay. I think the kind of baffling thing I found was how it connects to story, is that you are sort of exploring these dream worlds, playing as both Sora and Riku, and you switch between the two. But the problem is it almost feels like a worse version of what Birth by Sleep did, which is the last one, which I enjoyed a fair bit, where in that game, it was sort of, I hate that this is the thing I have to compare it to, but Sonic Hero style, where you have different campaigns you do in different orders, and at certain points they'll like intersect with each other, and you'll like meet over, and then when you play the other campaign, you'll see what the other guys are up to, and it sort of all comes together. It sort of did something like that, which I thought worked really well. But this game, you're literally just switching between Sora and Riku at like the same time, and you don't even get to choose when. Like, you'll randomly run out of time mid-boss fight and be forced to switch to the other person. It's kind of weird.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's a weird mechanic. You can manually do it, but if you don't do it enough, then it forces you to. And it kind of works, but the problem is, because you're experiencing the same worlds in the same order, like you're doing the world of Hunchback of Notre Dame as Sora, then there's Riku, then you go back to doing it as Sora, and it feels like you're treading over the same ground so much that it starts to feel repetitive, which Birth by Sleep didn't, because you were doing one campaign, then the other campaign, so there was a break between each of the worlds, you know. This definitely was less of a problem as it got later on, because Riku and Sora's adventures started to get a bit more different. They'd explore different areas of the same world, whereas the early worlds were a bit more similar. So it gets better, but it's fine, it's kind of interesting, but it just never feels as good of a system as Birth by Sleeps did. It just felt like a kind of a worse way of doing it. I think even in terms of story, like it, the characters' stories didn't really intersect at all. They were like in completely separate worlds, in a sense. Even though they were the same worlds, they were like different versions of them. So you don't meet each other up. So you didn't get that cool story crossover where you find out what the other one is up to and then do their side. It just kind of missed that beat. But the overall story was fine. Like there's a lot of big lore stuff. It's absolutely set up for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's absolutely getting to that God, the director must be smoking something level of Kingdom Hearts lore, where it's connecting all the different games together and trying to adding new stuff. Even a bit too confusing at times, I thought, in this case, but it was fun. It's just sort of overall, I'd say it's sort of, that's what left it sort of middle of the road experience. The gameplay was just fine, and the mechanics had some interesting ideas, but never felt like they pulled it off in a very satisfying way as others have. But that's Kingdom Hearts for you, in my experience. You know, it's up and down, and at least this one was fine. Is the best I can say. You know, it was alright.
Okay.
And in a weird, it's weird because despite all those complaints I had, and I still enjoyed it overall, but I'm still really excited to continue with the series now. It's got to the point where I think the Stockholm Syndrome has kicked in, where I am invested one way or the other. So I think
it's the anticipation to see if the next game is really good or really bad. Because you never know with this series by the sounds of it. I've never played them, but every review I've seen is so drastically different to the next for any game that, like, I'm on edge now. Like, I want to see if it's a good game or not now, you know? It's like, I want to play the next one just to see, because I'm curious.
It's just such a fascinating series, and part of it is like I like the characters. I've sort of got into their stories now. I've got into like the charm of the different interacting with different Disney worlds and Final Fantasy characters, and I love all that aspect, and that's really grown on me. Also, it is just the whole morbid curiosity of it, of what the heck are they going to do next. So we'll find out. I mean, I managed to get through it right, and I played on easy mode, admittedly, because they still at this point don't let you change difficulty midway through, which sucks. And otherwise I'll try normal. And the thing that makes it suck more is that I know the reason. The reason is because they lock like post-game story content, big like story reveals, behind achievements that are different depending on what difficulty you're in. Which in the first place is a stupid thing.
Not good.
That you lock massive important lore that sets up the next game behind stupid requirements in an iffy game. It's Kingdom Hearts, but I can look them up on YouTube. It's fine. I've learned to do that by now. I don't bother about going out of my way for the achievements. But it's like I said, better or worse, I'm invested now. And actually, I'm gonna have a bit more to say about Kingdom Hearts, but I'll leave that for a little bit. Let's take a breather and give you your time, Kai. What do you want to talk about this month?
Alright, let's flip the script a little bit and talk about something that was in the Direct and I've been playing since, which is F-Zero 99.
Yes.
So I believe you've played this a little bit too, right?
I have indeed. I may have got a first place race.
Oh, you're kidding. No, you
I am
haven't.
Not kidding you. It's on my Twitter account, Kai. You can
No
look it up.
way. Oh, I didn't see that. I'm so upset. So I've played quite a bit of this at this point. I'm like level... I want to say like 16 maybe? I don't know. I've been playing it on my lunch breaks, and
That's good.
Oh god, it's really fun. It's really, really fun.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how much I was going to play it at first, but then I just noticed I kept coming back to it, and I was like, wow, this is just like a really cool little thing. I mean, all the 99 games are really cool, but this one in particular felt more interactive because it's not just you playing Tetris or Mario or whatever on your own. You are playing it with other people in the race course,
Yes.
which is what I think makes it cool. Yeah, the gameplay is good. Like, it's simple, but at the same time, there is quite a few different things you can do to get an edge. It doesn't feel cut and dry. The main difficulty being controlling the chaos of, okay, I've just got to get around this corner, but there's 30 cars that are bashing me either side the whole time. Oh my god, they're so annoying. Why do you do...
Yeah.
Anyway, the best I've placed is, I think, 8th. So far, like, I've done quite a lot of races, and that's the best I've done. That was in a Grand Prix as well, actually. I've done.
Oh, nice.
I've
I haven't
got 8th
tried
in a
those
Grand
yet.
Prix. They are tough because
Yeah.
the stages get harder, and the requirements to stay in the race get harder. So it's actually really tricky, but I've been doing well with that. It's just been fun, like slowly getting better at it, working out which car I like the best. And one day I'll get the win. I think my only issue with it is there is no way to play with friends. You can't join an open game with them, you can't join a private game. There is no option to play with friends. There's only a leaderboard to see who's been playing the game the most, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they just added that one thing, this would be such a good game. Like, it would be ideal. And Tetris 99 has it.
Yeah.
So it sort of makes you think, well, this probably should at some point, really. Like, I think it would be a lot of fun.
It feels like a no-brainer for like another update if they had like new tracks or something to add that with it. I mean, or they'll just decide they're going to delete it in a year, in like Mario 35. You never know. But it's. I hope not, because like you say, it is a lot of fun. It is really chaotic, but F-Zero is a fun game already, and I do find it's, like, admittedly, my first place, it kind of feels a bit luck-based compared to something like Tetris 99, I think. I mean, there's always a factor of it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's so easy in this game to, no matter how well you play, to just sort of be in the right place at the right time, or the opposite of that, and get, knocked back by, like, 30 cars coming your way and go from 10th to 70th. It happens so easily. But,
there's been some races where I've been, like, the whole way through I've been going, okay, I've not crashed yet, I've not even hit the side, I've been using my boosts well, I've been going on the skyline bit at just the right times, I feel really well, and I finished the race and I got 53rd.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you think you do so well.
It's so hard to quantify, like, but it is really fun. Like, the whole thing of to boost or not to boost, and the risk reward system of that is definitely really interesting. And when you get that moment where you're doing well and you suddenly think, oh god, I can make this, wait, I'm getting ahead, and then it lines up just perfectly, like, it's very satisfying. I don't think I'm gonna get a first place again anytime soon. It was a fluke, I'm not gonna lie. I'll send you the clip afterwards. It's fun. It's like, I'm so glad that they come out of nowhere. Like, there was no anticipation for this, or I didn't think it would be the next one they do, but I'm so down for it, and it is a really great game for the Switch, like you say, to play in small breaks and little moments. So hopefully they can add more to it, because it's great. Yeah.
I just want to get a win though. Like, it's annoying because I look at who's first pretty much at like the end of each race, because I'm just curious to see who won, what vehicle they're using, that sort of thing. Yeah. And like every single winner in basically every single race I've played has been, well, the top 3 pretty much have all been just Japanese names. With like S+7 ranking, and it's like, that's ridiculous. Like, they're all S+ players. Me as like a B- rank at the time is thinking, why can't I just be in a lobby with only B ranks? Because it tells you at the end how you did compared to people of your rank. And I've been consistently getting like top 3. In every single race I do, it's like top 3 in B rank. I recently got to A rank today. But before that, it was like I was always top 3 or 5 in B rank, and I'm thinking, well, if I had a B rank lobby, I would have won by now. So it's frustrating that they put everyone in together, but we're going into like details at this point. The core premise of the game is really good, so all happy. Yeah,
definitely been a fun one to play, and we'll keep playing it. Again, if they add online, maybe we can even do like a video or just do it on your streams or something, because there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
So hopefully they keep adding stuff. But I guess I'll end things off here with my final game, and we're back to Kingdom Hearts, baby, because I actually played the next game in the series, but only because it is a short 3-hour game that's sort of like a epilogue thing. I played Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep 0.2, a fragmentary passage, and just no game on Earth should have 0.2 in the title. I just want to say that much. Why Kingdom Hearts? But
it is absurd.
It really is. But basically, it acts as sort of a sequel to Birth by Sleep that again works towards building up to Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just a little short 3-hour experience, and the main thing that stands out about this is actually the first HD Kingdom Hearts game. Outside of the other ones being upscaled and whatnot, they're still PS2, PSP games. This is the first game developed for the PS4, I believe it was, as a Kingdom Hearts entry. And you can tell that it's a small experience, but it is really pretty. You're sort of there's gonna just be by nature vague spoilers for Birth by Sleep here, but you are exploring like the darkness and sort of the dark realm and different worlds that have been brought into it, the sort of remnants. And it is really pretty, the way the sky lights up, the way enemies and sort of like designs are all great. You play as Aqua herself and her design's great. Disney characters in HD took me a bit to get used to when you see them, but I did get used to it, and it's like a good showcase for how things are going to look for Kingdom Hearts 3 for sure. Definitely you can tell the upgrades, and all in all, like, this was actually really good. Like, it played really well. It was basically Birth by Sleep light, where there wasn't enough time to go into in-depth mechanics, which I think worked in its favour really. Where you just had all your basic spells. You could combo those together, but it all felt well and it never demanded too much of you because it was a short 3-hour experience. And kind of the more of the focus in this game, to sort of expand it a bit, is as you explore these different small areas, there are like tasks you can complete that unlock different costumes for Aqua. Because, of course, this being the first Kingdom Hearts game where you primarily play as a girl, they were like, yes, we have to include dress up, and we have to give you the option to wear catties, because of course that's what they did. It's literally the first thing they show you. But but that aside, that aside, like, some of the costume options were kind of neat. Like, I messed around with it a little bit. You can change like the patterns on their dress and the colour scheme and that. It's a nice way to like add replayability to this short experience, and I didn't end up doing it, but it is the Kingdom Hearts game I've been most tempted to 100% complete because of that. Like, it all felt like it worked as this smaller package.
I would imagine it's one of the easiest to 100% complete.
Absolutely. There's not even a post-game secret to unlock, which is disappointing because this is the one game I would actually be able to do it in. But
yeah,
it's still neat that they have all these things in there. What I had her in the entire time when I got them was like Minnie Mouse ears, but like the kind of headband ones you like kids wear at Disney World. I just thought it was funny that they had those as an option, so I had her in those. But
I like how you say what kids wear at Disney World, when my sister fully wore them at like 22 at Disney World, and you know what I mean. There are Disney
fair
people
point.
out there.
It's not just kids, that's for sure. It's the Disney fever, but
yeah,
it was definitely like, it was a fun little experience, and the story sort of like, it takes place during Kingdom Hearts 1, so you begin to see a bit of like background stuff. It ties together how certain events from that game took place, but from like the other side of things, which was really the way that it sort of links together, and you see events from the main game in a different way. I love it anytime a game does that sort of thing. So I really appreciated the story in general and what it did, and I'm hyped for Kingdom Hearts 3 from this point. So it's hard to like. It's an unfair comparison to the other games really, because it's such a small package that it of course doesn't reach the highs of those games. You know, it doesn't have anything mind blowing, but it does everything it needed to do perfectly. It's absolutely the most consistent Kingdom Hearts game by far, and I really enjoyed my 3 hours with it. So yeah, not bad. And it's the mobile games next, so yeah, okay.
Good luck.
I think they might just be cutscenes at this point, so that I'll manage. But I'll probably finish it next year. You know, it's coming up at the end, so
yeah,
it's been a wild ride, as they say. But that is it.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
that is it for this month's podcast. A lot to talk about, so we went on a while, but a lot of good stuff. And thank you for sticking with us, for listening to all of this, for tuning in for BunchaJokahs, for all our content. And Kai, where else can people find you at?
They can find me at my Twitch, which will be linked basically everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing through Inazuma 11 3 still, getting through it. But yeah, so much on the horizon that who knows what I'm going to do next. Even I haven't decided. Could be anything.
You want to find out the mystery? Go check it out, like I said in the description right below. And of course, a big thank you to our friend Sam, our graphic designer, who makes our logo, thumbnails, and edits a bunch of shorts that we've been putting him to work on as well. So thank you again, Sam. And yeah, we've got plenty more coming, of course. You can find the rest of our content here on BunchaJokahs, on Spotify, for audio-only versions and other podcasting sites, or videos and reactions as well on the YouTube channel, and gameplay videos, which we should have a certain Mario Party finally coming out within the next month, so definitely stay tuned for that one. And we will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!
See ya.